And welcome back to AgriTalk. We're very happy for the first time to be broadcasting from the Department of Education, wrapping up our week here in Washington, D.C., thanks to the hospitality of all the folks here, and looking forward to learning more about the vision and the initiatives from the Department of Education for schools and different areas of education, especially in rural America, how this applies for schools in rural districts. And joining us, first of all, is Sharon Miller, Director of Career and Technical Education. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about the Department of Education's vision. And when we look at career and technical education, and specifically in career development and working to get the students on the right pathway for a career.
Sure. So President Obama has called on the nation to lead, be a global leader in college completion. So the president, as well as the Secretary of Education, are also looking at career and technical education being a part of accomplishing that goal. And they're calling on all career and technical education programs to very strongly connect with and lead to post-secondary credential and a degree. And so to that end, we have a law that governs career and technical education programs at the federal level called the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act, and many of the listeners probably have programs that are funded in their communities with Perkins Act funding, and that law is calling for the development of what's called programs of study or career pathways, and they're structured, organized courses that students take at the secondary level. They connect to what they do at the post-secondary level in a career pathway that's of interest to them. You mentioned career development. That's a very important part of it, because unless students are really learning and exploring careers at the middle school level and preparing for what they're going to take at the post-secondary level, they really won't have any idea what they want to do. The other thing that's very an important part of the career pathways is offering students the opportunity to actually earn credit before they get to post-secondary education. And largely we know that if students have accumulated credit and if they don't have to go into remedial education at the post-secondary level, they're far more likely to complete, earn a credential or some type of certificate or degree. Just one other thing I wanted to add, although college completion is the goal, the president also recognizes that just some form of post-secondary education is also an important goal, meaning that industry-recognized certification is also important for students to get good jobs and be career-ready in this global economy.
Because it may not be, and we know it's not, everyone isn't cut out maybe to go to college or a four-year college, maybe junior college or a technical school or something, but whatever path they choose, if it's effective and if they have the training, especially early on, to get them ready, to get them started in that, the end result's what counts here, that they get into a good job, a good career.
That's right, and a lot of the national data that we have actually shows that even if a student doesn't go right after high school, doesn't go right on to post-secondary education, that an increasing percentage, as many as 20%, actually end up enrolling in post-secondary education. Either they get into their first job and they realize they need some kind of extra post-secondary credential or degree, and they end up enrolling in college at some point after. So to the extent that their program kind of has already linked and mapped that out so that they're ready for it, even if it's not immediately right upon graduation, but that they're ready. Because once a student goes in, if they have to go into remedial education, the data shows that they don't complete. So our goal is to keep them in credit-bearing courses at the post-secondary level.
Now, what about schools in rural areas that may not have the same resources, perhaps, as schools in cities? How are you proposing to make sure that the students in those rural school districts have the same opportunity?
Right, and that's a really great question, especially as we've been implementing the programs of study since the Perkins Law was enacted about 6 or 7 years ago. We found that two things are key. One is obviously technology, and I think in a few minutes you're going to be talking to Karen Cater, who leads our efforts in technology in the department. In a lot of rural areas, they're even using mobile labs that have a lot of the equipment and technology on board, and they're sharing those resources and pooling those resources across different rural schools. So that's one strategy. Of course, distance and e-learning opportunities are going to also be important, and also partnerships are the key. Without secondary and post-secondary educators and teachers and faculty talking to each other, as well as getting the business community involved and providing work-based learning opportunities and other opportunities, job shadowing opportunities for students, a program of study will really not take effect in rural areas.
All right. Well, it sounds like there's a lot happening and a lot of opportunities. And again, that end result is to get these students, whatever path they choose for a career, to get them off to a good start. And a lot of good programs along those lines help them do that. Sharon, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, that's Sharon Miller, Director of Career and Technical Education. We'll take a break. We have much more to come from the Department of Education as we learn about a number of different programs. Later we'll talk about recruiting the next generation of teachers. We're also going to talk about No Child Left Behind, which is very much in the news today. When we come back, we will talk with Karen Cater, Director of Educational Technology here at the Department of Education. That's next. Stay with us from Washington, D.C. This is AgriTalk.